about a year ago when Jenny and Johnny sat in my office and said, your only assignment is to find us a spot. When you're an elected official, you get hit up with a lot of crazy ideas. I don't know if you knew that. And I'm thinking, is this just a crazy idea? But I can tell you what, they have proven themselves, and here we are to kick this thing off. And so I'm very, very excited to see this. So we'll have our ALA show choir do the anthem. After the anthem, I'll lead us in the pledge.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright
Thank you. You may be seated. Jenny is one of our adopted daughters in this town. Mayor Mendenhall was a city councilman and served with Brent in the League of Cities and Towns, and Jenny became adopted, if you will, right? She taught elementary school here back in the day, and I can tell you more about her story, but just could not be more grateful for her leadership and vision in this wonderful event, and want to say thank you to all those that have put their finger on this thing to get it kicked off. It is amazing to see how many volunteers and how much time and effort is put into this. It doesn't hurt to have Brent's big brother Matt as a deputy here at Utah County, and we appreciate having him along the way as well. Want to thank the fairgrounds staff, Nick Hanks and his crew, and all that they've done to make this facility ready for us today. Just want to point out many mayors with us today. We got our commissioners here, county commissioners, and many mayors. Former Governor Gary Herbert. I'll start naming and I'll start missing. So Megan Johnson is with us from Spanish Fork Hospital, and so thank you. Our pageant girls, thank you. I know that they participated. As you're going through, you're going to see a tree dedicated to Officer Estrada and Sorensen, who paid the ultimate price. And so thank you for your efforts on that, and thank you for being here. So without further ado, I want to introduce my friend Chris, and I don't know much more to introduce other than that. Chris is a local pilot and has a wonderful 9/11 story, and that he's going to kick us off. After that, we'll cut a ribbon. Those that have been invited for the ribbon cutting, please come up, and then after that, Jenny Taylor's going to show us how the run of the mill is going to go. So, Chris?
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Boy, this is tough. I'm a crier. Now with all this going on, this is really going to make it difficult. I'm grateful to speak to you about remembering some of the people and some of the events of 9/11. I was in Wichita, Kansas on Sunday and saw the great memorial at the airport with pieces of the Trade Center buildings with a sign above them, "We must never forget." Hopefully we learn from this moment of history. This is a significant day in my family's life. First, some background about myself. I'm the fifth of 5 boys and 7 years the younger. And at age 4, I was really bored at home, and all the other brothers were at school. And I pestered my dad to take me to his work. A little bit about my dad. My dad is a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force at that time. We're living in London, England. He survived the Pearl Harbor attacks, flew throughout the Pacific, and on his 13th bombing mission, May 29th, 1944, was shot down and was a POW in Japan. He also flew secret missions during the Cold War in the 1950s in Turkey and flew a C-130 in Vietnam. It's now 1965 and our family is on a 3-year stint in London, England, and Dad's using his civil engineering degree to guide a team building hardened missile silos across Europe from his office in the West London Air Force Base. As we passed through the West Ruislip base gate, a Supermarine Spitfire, a World War II fighter aircraft, was there on static display. And at age 4, I knew I was going to be a pilot the rest of my life. I'd never seen an airplane before that I could remember. I was only probably about 2.5 when we flew over from New York. Now, jump ahead with me 25 years in 1990. I'm building shelves in the garage of our new home in the San Francisco Bay Area, listening to the news, August 1990. Iraq is invading Kuwait. I've just concluded my probationary first year at United Flight Ops in San Francisco as a first officer on the 737. My dream job. I have an unmistakable impression that I can remember as clearly as it was yesterday. I need to get a master's degree, which makes absolutely no sense professionally. It doesn't help me at all. I had no idea with what to study with that degree. For years, I asked other pilots who had master's degree, what did you get a master's degree for? Have you used it? You have to understand, you might look at me and say, oh, this guy's really a great student, that's no problem. But as a kid, bopping around the world, going to different schools, I was a terrible student. And I couldn't wait to get my report card at the end of the year to see whether it said proceed to the next grade or be held back, honestly. I didn't want to go back to school. It was intimidating to me. Okay, now jump to February of 1998. I've been contemplating this master's degree thing for 8 years. One day, I'm walking from my bed to the bathroom, and like a 2x4 across the head, an impression came. You need to quit your job. I questioned myself and second guessed. I needed more than that to leave my dream job. Now, March of 1998, I'm at the Denver Training Center. I'm having my annual proficiency check. I've moved on from the 737 to the 767. And I mentioned to my instructor that I'm contemplating moving to be a captain on the 737. But my desired time frame is really 2002, 6 years to build some seniority before I get on to the captain's job. But I said I might do it next month. And I said, I expressed my concerns about being a captain, having lots of questions about hijacking. There's a lot of questions I started asking him. He said, we really don't have time to do this. We've got things we've got to do for this today. And he says, why don't we meet tomorrow? I've got 2 hours at lunch. Let's talk then. I talked to lots of other captains and asked them the same questions, and a lot of them just didn't have any ideas, any thoughts. So I sat down with this captain, and he was really a top shelf kind of a guy, exceptional. He had many of the same concerns that I had about hijacking and the lack of discussion that went on about it at the training center. He had many more solutions than I did. He was a kind of a guy, if you had a question, he had a complete knowledge and could give me a complete understanding. He could go through the physics of something. He was just excellent. His name was Jason Dahl. It's now April 6th, 1998. Another 2x4 across the head at 2:30 in the morning. I wake up. You need to quit your job. You need to be good to your kids. And you need to get a master's degree in social work at the University of Utah. I woke my wife up and said, this is what's going on. And I'm 30 minutes leaving for New York. She was shocked, but she was supportive. I left on my trip, a trip that I'd done regularly because I could take the kids to school, I could take off for work, be gone one night, and then I would be back, and I'd have dinner with my brother who was living in New York. So when I got to New York, I called the University of Utah's Masters of Social Work program. I talked to a gentleman called Charlie Smith. He was a little bit, this is a very strange call. You're calling me about what? He said, what is a master's degree in social work and how do I get one? He says, well, you're going to need to take prerequisites because your geography degree doesn't really help with social work, and you're going to need us to accumulate social work hours, like volunteering somewhere, and you're going to need about 2 years of that. So going from April of 1998 to May of 2000. The previous December, I applied for the U of U MSW program and was rejected. That was a head scratcher for me with that kind of inspiration. Later, I realized that applying to the U of U, they had certain requirements that made me a much better candidate for getting into the social work program. We continued to save money because we figured we're going to be leaving our job soon, and I accumulated social work hours. Because I was serving the LDS local church leadership, I was asked to be interviewed regarding new church leadership changes in the local stake. I was interviewed by Ronald Rasband, his third week as a general authority, and Elder Henry B. Eyring, men I have never met, but I had great respect for. Elder Rasband asked me many questions about my job, when our family joined the church, on and on. But the first question that came out of Elder Eyring's mouth was, have you considered changing your profession? You have a great gift or ability to help people and to love them, according to my journal. The next day, we put our house on the market, moved to our current home in Springville 3 months later. Now I felt a strong impression to go to BYU and prepared to submit my MSW application in December of 2000. While I kept working for United, on August of 2001 was my my last flight with United. Took off out of Seattle. We did a turnaround Mount Rainier and a turnaround Mount St. Helens, and still made it on time to the gate at Seattle in San Francisco. I had great sadness. But I also had some real excitement, too, about a new adventure. I accepted that I may never fly again. September 11th, 2001. I'm starting the second week of my MSW program. I'm sitting in the kitchen with my family eating breakfast, and our neighbor calls up and says, turn on the TV. It all came back to me. If I had been on my plan to fly the 767 to 2002, there was a good possibility I would have been on United Flight 93. The captain was Jason Dahl, the captain that I had spent 2 hours talking about with hijacking. I recalled all of our discussion. He knew more than anybody about what to do in hijacking. My understanding is that that wasn't his trip, but as a standards captain, he could displace people. So someone was slated for that trip, and he took them out of that trip, and he flew that trip. Flight 93 seems to be one of the only flights where the pilots actually had a struggle with the hijackers. I've heard the recordings of how Jason and Leroy struggled, even making some of the radio calls telling the hijackers to get out of the cockpit so air traffic control could hear their struggles and warn the other flights. In 9/11, all the rules changed. Never had hijackers killed the crew to fly the aircraft themselves. Jason and I had never considered this tactic in our hijack discussions. It's likely Jason and his co-pilot were dead seconds after the hijackers initiated the takeover. First Officer Leroy Homer, an Air Force Academy graduate, was an exceptional pilot in person and left behind a wife, Melody, and a daughter, Laurel, not quite a year old. I felt great sadness for Jason's family to lose him. I especially felt for his teenage son, his only biological child, and Jason's wife, Sandy, and her children, and the thousands of others that day, including former fellow employees, fellow Americans. Why do good people have bad things happen to them? Often it's because other people make really bad choices. I don't know why I survived, or why I was guided away from harm, and others may or may not have had similar impressions. I was taught as a youth to pray, and I believe God hears and answers our prayers, and authentically wants to be involved in the details of our lives. One of my favorite quotes from Abraham Lincoln: "I've been driven many times upon my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My own wisdom and that of all about me seemed insufficient for the day." April 3rd, 2003, 3 days before graduation from the BYU social work program. 3.9 grade point average. Yeah. God, how are we going to support ourselves? Our savings is almost all gone, don't have a job. And within an hour of that prayer, Claire Anderson, my neighbor, came over and said he just bought in on a corporate aircraft with Doug Ford. Some of you probably know Doug Ford, yeah? He says, "We want you to be our corporate pilot when you're not doing counseling for Utah County substance abuse." And in February 2008, Doug sat me down and said, "We need your help in counseling here at Mountain Country Foods." And so he hired me. In 2003, I was hired to be their chief pilot. In 2008, I was hired to be their chief therapist. Because of the Ford family and Mountain Country Foods, I've been able to offer counseling to hundreds of people who would not have had access to counseling otherwise, and I've never had to collect money from them, as this is a free benefit to all Mountain Country Foods employees. Again, I'm grateful to be with you, and I'm grateful for this event that focuses, rightly so, on those who gave their lives the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you, and God bless America.